Michael Jackson and the true meaning of forgiveness. These words resonate as if from a place beyond time, a silent space where love and pain meet to create something that surpasses human understanding. But what does forgiveness truly mean? And what can this act, so simple and yet so devastating, reveal about who we are? Perhaps, if we look with the same eyes that Michael used to see the world, we can discover that forgiveness is not the end of a wound, but the beginning of a new life. He used to believe that forgiveness was the purest form of love because it required surrendering something the ego would never accept losing: the right to revenge. In the first few seconds of reflection, we feel the weight of these words. Forgive, such a short word, yet capable of carrying the entire universe. Imagine the courage it takes to choose to let go of pain when you have every reason in the world to hold on to it. Michael believed that true love only existed when we learned to release what broke. You ask because the soul can only shine when it no longer carries the shadows of the past. He said that every unhealed hurt was like a note out of rhythm in the music of life. And if we want to hear the complete melody, we need to learn to forgive even what seems unforgivable. But how can someone forgive when their heart has been wounded to the limit? How can they transform tears into lessons and injustice into peace? This is the question few dare to face him. That is precisely why forgiveness is the path of the strong. Michael never spoke of forgiveness as a religious or moral idea. He saw it as a movement of the soul, a silent act of new beginnings. He believed that forgiving was not forgetting, but understanding. That forgiveness doesn't change the past, it changes the meaning of what happened. If you listen carefully, you'll realize that forgiveness is like an echo of the love that still remains. It's the last gesture a weary heart can offer when the world has already given up. Michael saw forgiveness as a portal, a passage between suffering and freedom. And perhaps that's why he spoke so much about compassion, even when no one seemed to understand him. He knew that only those who have learned to truly love can forgive, and only those who forgive can continue to love. Forgiveness is, in fact, a form of invisible healing. It acts silently, like the breeze that extinguishes the fire of memories. It's a remedy not taken with the mouth, but with the heart. Michael believed that within each person, there is a child still waiting to be embraced. And that forgiveness is the moment when we finally decide to embrace that child and say, "You can rest now." It's the instant when we stop fighting the past and begin to dance with the present. But forgiveness isn't simple. Sometimes it hurts more than the wound itself, because it demands humility. It demands recognizing that we won't always receive the apology we deserve. It demands understanding that the other person may never change and yet choose to release the burden. Michael said that forgiving isn't about justifying the mistake, but about freeing oneself from it. And it's in this decision that the soul finds lightness. When we stop expecting justice from the world, we begin to build our own peace. If we look closely, forgiveness is not just a choice, it's a process. It begins when we stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective is what transforms pain into wisdom. Michael saw life as a great stage of lessons, where each difficult act was merely a necessary scene in the larger plot of the soul. And perhaps, if we listen to this script with an open heart, we can understand what he tried to teach us. That love is not just a feeling, it's a constant practice of liberation. Some say forgiveness is for the weak, but it's the opposite. It's for those who have the courage to face their own shadows. Because forgiving is looking in the mirror and recognizing that the reflection also makes mistakes, also hurts, also needs compassion. Michael believed that true love begins when we stop demanding perfection from others. Forgiveness is the moment when we choose to see the human being behind the mistake. And when we do that, something sacred happens, the heart expands. Perhaps that's what he most wanted to show, that love and forgiveness are not opposites, but faces of the same light. That there is no healing without compassion, and no freedom without forgiveness. that every wound, when accepted with love, transforms into a portal of transformation. Michael wasn't talking about religion, he was talking about humanity. He saw pain as a chance to awaken, and forgiveness as the final note of a song that restores our peace. Sometimes forgiveness arrives when we least expect it. It doesn't come with music or applause, comes in silence, when the heart, tired of fighting, simply decides to let go. Michael believed that this instant is the most divine of existence, the moment when the human soul realizes it no longer needs to win, only to understand. When we stop looking for someone to blame and begin to seek peace, something changes within us. The past ceases to be a prison and becomes a lesson. Forgiveness is the moment when pain finally transforms into wisdom. He said that unhealed wounds don't disappear, they only change form. They become harsh words, distances, silences, invisible barriers we build to protect ourselves. But these barriers also isolate us from love. And that's why Michael saw forgiveness as the most revolutionary act a human being can commit. It breaks the cycle of pain. It's as if we were saying to the universe, enough. This pain ends with me. And from then on, the energy changes end with it. Everything we are. Ultimately, forgiveness is a form of mature love. Love that has understood it doesn't need to win arguments, prove points, or wait for regrets. Love that has learned to let go tenderly. Michael believed that forgiveness is the highest degree of the art of loving, because it's when love becomes action, when feeling translates into compassion. And that is the rarest and most powerful form of beauty. When we observe life through this lens, everything takes on a different meaning. The people who hurt us become mirrors that show us where we needed to heal. The pains that seemed unfair become stepping stones that lead us to wisdom. And in the end, we realize that forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about us. About the weight we choose to carry or let go of. About the space we leave within ourselves for something new to begin. Michael always spoke about seeing the world with eyes of love, even when the world seemed cruel. And perhaps that's why he was able to touch so many souls. He didn't talk about utopia, he talked about practice, about transforming hatred into understanding, rejection into acceptance, pain into creation. Music was his way of forgiving the world, and each note he sang was a reminder that beauty still exists, even in wounds. He used art to heal the invisible, and that is the essence of forgiveness, healing what no one sees. But there's a secret to forgiveness that few understand. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a process like a song that needs to be listened to several times before it makes sense. Sometimes we think we've forgiven, but we still bleed inside, and that's okay. True forgiveness happens in layers. Memory we revisit with less pain is a part of the soul being restored. Michael believed that forgiving was like dancing with time, one step at a time, until the body and heart synchronize again. There is a silent strength in those who choose not to retaliate, in those who choose to understand instead of punish. This strength is what he called inner light, an energy that grows when we stop fighting against the past. When we learn to transform pain into empathy, we create bridges where walls once existed, and the world needs more people willing to build bridges. Forgiving isn't about forgetting what was done to us. It's about remembering without feeling the same weight. It's about saying to yourself, this happened, but it doesn't define me anymore. It's understanding that life goes on, and that what truly matters is what we do with what we've experienced. Michael saw forgiveness as a gift we give ourselves. Because, ultimately, the one who suffers most from resentment isn't the one who hurt us, it's ourselves. Holding on to hatred is like holding on to a flame, waiting for the other person to burn it out. And when we let go of that flame, we feel something priceless, lightness. The heart breathes again, the body feels lighter, and even the air takes on a different flavor. It's as if the soul is saying, thank you for setting me free. Michael knew that this was the true cure. He believed that forgiveness opens space for love to circulate again. And when love returns, the whole world changes color. Forgiveness is also a form of spiritual wisdom. It's when we understand that each person acts according to their level of consciousness, that sometimes the other person didn't know how to do better, not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. This understanding doesn't justify the mistake, but transcends it. And, in doing so, we free ourselves from the need to control what happened. Michael said that compassion is love when it matures, and forgiveness is the fruit of that tree. When we look at life with this maturity, we begin to see beauty even in the darkest moments. Every pain becomes an opportunity for growth, every loss a chance to start over. Michael saw life as a choreography, forgiveness as the step that connects all the others. Without it, the dance is incomplete. With it, the movement flows. Perhaps that's why, even after so many falls, so much criticism and judgment, he never stopped talking about love, because he understood that love isn't just what we feel when everything is going well, it's what we choose to offer even when everything hurts. And it's at this point that forgiveness becomes sacred. It restores our humanity. Forgiveness is an act of love so profound that it is sometimes confused with faith itself. Not faith in religions, but faith in life, in the power we have to be reborn. Michael believed that forgiveness is a bridge that leads us back to ourselves. That forgiving is remembering who we are when the ego is silent and the heart speaks. He used to say that true love is not learned in victories, but in losses. That it is in the silence of pain that the soul finds its purest voice. And if there is one message he wanted to leave for the world, it is this: forgiveness is the highest language that love can speak. But why is it so difficult to forgive? Because forgiveness forces us to look inward, and inward is where we hide everything that hurts. It's where the memories we prefer to forget live. It's where we keep what we said we've overcome, but which still weighs us down. Michael saw this as a kind of spiritual mirror. Every person who hurts us is just a reflection of something we still need to heal within ourselves. When we learn to see it this way, life changes its tone. We stop reacting and begin to understand, and that is the first step to true freedom. Forgiveness doesn't erase history, but it changes the ending. It allows us to continue our journey without dragging along the ghosts of what was. When we let go of what binds us, we open space for what can still flourish. Michael believed that forgiveness is a form of dance, sometimes slow, sometimes confusing, but always moved by the music of the soul. And the soul, when it learns to dance again, heals everything. There's a silent scene we all experience one day, the moment when we're alone with our thoughts, trying to understand why something hurt us. It's there, in the silence, that forgiveness begins to blossom. Michael Jackson said that solitude is the stage of transformation, and he was right. It's there that we stop pretending to be strong and begin to rebuild what was broken. It's there that the heart realizes it no longer needs to fight the past, only embrace it. Forgiveness is, in essence, a form of emotional maturity. It's the moment when we stop measuring what is fair and unfair, and begin to seek what is true. When we can look at those who have hurt us without anger, without a desire for revenge, something changes in the air. Resentment dissolves, and true love breathes again. Michael believed that each act of forgiveness ignites an invisible light in the world. And perhaps it is this light that prevents darkness from winning. If we look deeply, we will see that forgiveness is the missing link between pain and peace. It is the bridge between what we were and what we can still be. There is no greatness in carrying hatred, only weight. There is no wisdom in nurturing resentment, only repetition. True power lies in transforming the wound into strength, the blow into a lesson, the end into a new beginning. Michael did not forgive out of weakness, but out of wisdom. He knew that those who forgive do not diminish themselves, they expand. And there's something even deeper. Forgiveness isn't just for others, but for ourselves. How many times do we blame ourselves for decisions, words, mistakes, regrets? How many times do we relive the past as if we could rewrite it? Michael understood that healing only begins when we stop punishing ourselves. He believed that every human being carries a unique light, and that forgiveness is what cleanses that light from the dust of time. When we forgive ourselves, the soul becomes light as a song. Imagine for a moment that you are sitting in silence, in a calm place, perhaps with a soft light touching your face. The air is still, and all that exists is the distant sound of your own heart. In that instant, feel what it means to let go. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders, the knot untying within your chest. That is what forgiveness does. It restores rhythm to the music of life. It restores movement to what was trapped. And that is why Michael believed that forgiveness is an artistic act, the purest of all. Art, like forgiveness, is born from vulnerability. No true creation comes from anger or revenge. It comes from pain that has been understood, from fear that has been transformed into beauty. Michael saw this clearly. He transformed everything the world gave him, love or hate, into melody, because he knew that music like forgiveness doesn't belong to the one who writes it, but to the one who feels it. And each note was, in some way, a way of forgiving the world for not understanding the beauty he saw. Forgiveness is an act that transcends time. It's as if, by doing so, we send a message to the universe saying, "I have learned." And the universe responds with peace. There is no revenge that heals, no punishment that brings relief. Only forgiveness has this mysterious power to transform the past into wisdom and suffering into strength. Michael called this the alchemy of love, the human capacity to transform pain into light. And perhaps that is the true legacy he left. The reminder that life is short, and that spending our days in hatred is the same as extinguishing our own light. That love and forgiveness are the only languages that survive time. That no matter what the world does to us, we will always have the power to respond with compassion. And it is this choice that defines who we truly are. So, when you think about forgiveness, remember, it's not about the other person. It's about freeing yourself. It's about understanding that peace doesn't come when things change, but when we change the way we see them. It's about choosing love when the world offers the opposite. Michael believed that forgiveness is the moment when a human being comes closest to God, not the God of religions, but the God who lives in the silence of the heart. And if you've made it this far, perhaps something within you is also ready to forgive. Perhaps there's someone, or something, still living in your memory, begging to be set free. Not because it deserves it, but because you deserve peace. And when you decide to do that, when you finally let go, you'll realize what Michael always meant, that forgiveness isn't the end of a story, but the beginning of a new song. A song that only your heart can play.
you.